Hey, everybody. Today I talked with my friend Ken. We have known Ken and his family for over 20 years. And we talked about how he went from being in full time ministry to now using his same gifts and skills as a life coach. He's got a mastermind group. And we talked about how he's doing what he's doing. And it was a pretty cool conversation. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Shara. How are
I'm
you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you. I'm trying to think
I
the
know.
last time I saw you, was it at Kylie's wedding? Surely I've seen you before.
No,
Oh no, you came to our house. You
yeah,
came to our house in
yeah,
Houston.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
We came when you guys were living by the lake, I think.
Yeah,
Um, we were camping
that's right.
nearby, like an hour away,
During a
and we came to
rainstorm.
visit. Yep. And then the next day we got rained out. That it was a spring break trip for
Yes.
me and the kids. And Jen couldn't be there, she had to work, and so we ended up getting rained out, and everything was wet, every single piece of clothing,
Oh,
everything. So we ended up packing everything up and driving to my in-laws house
yeah,
and stayed a couple of days with them. And literally we walked in and dried ourselves off, stripped off all of our clothes and put them all in the dryer. And
right.
it was just, yeah.
It happens.
And so we go, now that we're here in Central Texas, we're a lot closer, and we keep saying we're gonna, and we just never
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So
Well, we're still waiting for y'all to show up on our
yeah.
doorstep.
Hey, I'm gonna make that happen.
Yes,
The thing is Jen's been
our
so
schedule.
focused on school,
Yeah,
right? She's still trying to get her master's degree. We're in the downhill. I think she's
yes.
got one more semester,
Oh,
and then
awesome.
we're officially done. And I told her no more school.
Yeah,
We've been doing this way too long,
right.
and she's going to be jealous that I'm talking to you today.
Well, Aaron will never have to tell me no more school. Nor will I have to tell him because neither of us have
Yeah,
any desire to go back to school. The majority of the time I've known you, I think you've been in some form of ministry. You were a youth
pretty
pastor
much.
and you were a associate pastor. And I think
Yeah.
didn't you do like weren't you like a chaplain for a
Yep.
while? Didn't you did
Yep.
that?
That was my first. When I left my corporate career in the hospital world, I went to become a chaplain for a hospice organization.
Okay.
That was my first paid ministry position.
Yeah.
And then I left there and was on staff at Cornerstone, sort of,
Yeah.
kind of as a part-time paid position for a very short time. And then we moved to Arkansas, and
Yeah.
was in the big leagues where I
The
was
big
kind of
leagues.
salary and all the benefits and all the
Yeah.
responsibilities. And
Yeah. But now you're not doing ministry. Now you are a life
no,
coach.
no, I mean, that's part of what I do. I do so many
Right.
things, but yeah, I mean, I still am in the ministry. It's more of a marketplace ministry.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, when we were together at church in Big Spring, right? It was a small church,
Mm-hmm.
around 100 people. We almost broke 200 once. Then we had the church split. We got down to under 100.
Right.
When
Yeah.
I left, the church had been around for 13 years and still was less than 100 people when I left.
Wow.
And then they ended up transitioning away. The senior pastors that
Right.
planted it, they transitioned away, merged it with another church. It's growing, it's thriving. Different model than what we were doing.
Right.
But then I went to a much larger church. So I was on staff at Cornerstone for 7 years, from the
Mm-hmm.
time I said yes to being involved in youth ministry till
Right.
leaving.
Yeah.
So I was there 7 years. I went to the next church, which was much larger. It was about 1,500 to 1,800 people.
Yeah.
I was there for 6 years. I was over youth and young adults. I was very much involved in a lot of the planning and preaching team and all the things.
Yeah.
I was there 6 years. Then I went to the mega church in Midland that I was at, and I was there
Yes.
for 6 years.
Yeah.
I started off just as high school, then took over high school and middle school,
Yeah.
and kind of was the regional go-to uh, youth pastor, and planned all the youth camps and did all the things, and was training and equipping other youth pastors.
Yeah.
Then I transitioned into they called it an adult ministries role, where I was the connections pastor,
Yeah.
which was kind of the catch-all phrase for anything and everything that nobody
Right.
else wanted to do, or
Right.
so like literally one Sunday I counted up, and I was responsible for 13 different groups, organizations, or classes. So it was a high stress environment. It was
Yeah.
definitely, there were some things that needed to shift, and I wasn't
Yeah.
doing what I loved to do, which was
Hmm.
preaching, teaching, training, equipping. Like I
Hmm.
love doing internship programs, all of that kind of stuff, and I just wasn't doing that anymore. I love
Yeah.
to preach. So I got involved in the John Maxwell team. Um, and I got involved in coaching through my last church. We did actually,
Okay.
my direct report, um, he asked me, we were talking one day and he was talking about being a church planting coach,
Hmm.
and I asked him about that because I love
Right.
church planting and all the
Yeah.
things, right? And he talked about it, and I was like, man, that would be really cool to learn how to do stuff like that. Well, that
Yeah.
led him to having other conversations, and he ended up bringing a 1 day class, brought a trainer in and
Hmm.
trained anybody who wanted to on how to coach.
Huh.
And coaching is, what do you call it? Life coaching, executive coaching, leadership coaching, book author coaching.
Right.
Essentially, if they're truly trained in the coaching process, it's really a series of questions that you're asking to help the individual discover their own personal path and way.
Hmm.
And so that really helped me to become a much better pastor and a much
Yeah.
better disciple maker. So that's how I got into coaching. And then the same pastor later on
Hmm.
asked me, Ken, what do you want to do for self-improvement? Now, you know me, I've been reading books forever. I'm
Right.
always learning
Yeah.
and growing, but I didn't have any kind of certifications, right? I wasn't seminary trained. I didn't
Right.
graduate college. I was just a lay pastor that had put myself through my own university.
Yeah.
And here I am on staff at this mega church where everybody's got seminary degrees.
Right.
Some have doctorates in counseling, some have, masters, and you're just like, oh, dang, I'm kind of the odd man out.
Yeah.
But I knew what I was good at. And so I
Hmm.
was like, well, maybe I'll get certified as a marriage counselor, maybe leadership trainer. And that's what I went with, just because it's my niche. And I really felt
Right.
God was calling me to be a leader of leaders.
Yeah.
Anywhere I went, I was able to turn things around. I was a U-turn leader. So, so I looked into the John Maxwell team and signed up and went through it, and, got the certification. And one of the things they were talking about was coaching, right? They did
Yeah.
coaching training. And I was like, oh, I've done coaching training. And when the guy came up to speak, his name was Christian Simpson. He was on the faculty at the time.
Hmm.
And he says, you can't be a good leader if you're not a good coach. And I just went, oh, wait a second. Let me lean in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the reality is if you want to be a good leader, I've known for a long time that good leaders ask great questions,
Right.
right? You need to find out what your people need. But then when he started talking about how when you're having one-on-ones, with people, and you're
Yeah.
coaching people, you're helping lead them and bring out the leadership in them. And I went, oh, okay. So I ended up going through his coaching training. I mean, it was
Yeah.
probably 18 or 20 hours worth of content,
Wow.
homework assignments.
Yeah.
And of course, I was doing coaching on the side as part of, just free. So I learned the skill sets. And that's kind of how I did it. I got my certification as a trainer, speaker, and coach. Of course, I'd already
Yeah.
been speaking for almost 20 years at that point,
Right.
and so picked up some new skill sets and some things like that. And then I decided to kind of launch my business on the side. It was at the time when Jen was going through school and we were struggling financially. And so I just kind of put myself out there, started earning some
Right.
side money. And I ended up launching my business in 2017 and played with it for a year.
Yeah.
And then probably the end of 2018,
Hmm.
right? It was just a lot of demands were on me in the ministry, and I didn't feel like I was a right fit.
Right.
And once again, that same pastor asked me the question, well, Ken, are you happy?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I was like, well, I'm not unhappy, but
Right.
I'm not happy either.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good job. I had good benefits. I
Right.
was involved in the church, right? I love Sunday mornings, but the Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 part of it, it was
Yeah.
a drain. It wasn't me in my sweet spot. It wasn't me in my strength zone. It was a lot of things that I was told to do. And so I did it
Yeah.
because I'm a good follower. Yes, sir.
Right.
That's what you want me to do. But the leadership wasn't, my leadership wasn't equipping me for success. They just had
Right.
me filling a role. And I mean, that's just the way that they live, right? There was nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And so he asked me that question. He goes, well, what would you do if you could? And I was like, well, I'd be on the preaching team. I would be, leading internship programs. I would, and none of those were really options.
Right.
And so, well, of course you can't do that. So what else would you do? I was like, honestly, I would go make a living doing what I do with my John Maxwell, my coaching leadership business. I was like, I'm speaking at pretty regularly at companies and organizations. I'm doing masterminds, which are basically small group discipleship. I'm doing, one-on-one coaching, which is a lot like discipleship.
Right.
That's my strength zone, right?
Yeah.
I felt years ago, God called me to be a leader of leaders, and that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked out a plan. In July of 2019, I went full time.
Wow.
Transitioned out of paid professional ministry,
right,
into more of a marketplace ministry where, I was just going to go and pursue my dreams. And I still want to plant a church one day.
Yeah.
I just got to get my wife on board for that. It's a lot of work.
I gotcha. After school.
Yeah, right.
That's what school's done.
For sure.
So what's your favorite thing about what you do? Your favorite thing about your business?
Man. Multifaceted question. Let's see. So my most favorite thing is probably public speaking at conferences and events, where I'm connecting with an audience and bringing them to a new level of awareness or a new level of aha moments, or, oh gosh, that inspirational piece of what I do.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the pastor in me. That's what I love doing. And I love making that kind of an impact in a big room.
Yeah.
But then I love the follow-up of a mastermind group where you're sitting in a room and it's very much like small group discipleship.
Right.
You're taking a topic, we're asking each other, how can we apply it? How can we build from it? I'm about to launch a mastermind group for the first time. I'll tell you about that later, but that's kind of one of those things where it's just like, yes, I love getting, in the trenches with people and helping them to soar to new levels, to conquer new levels. Right.
Yeah.
And then of course the one-on-one coaching is a key piece of what I do.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. When the pandemic hit and I couldn't do leadership training and development in the big room, I had to switch to one-on-one coaching because, that's what you had to do during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to build a coaching business. And so anybody who wanted coaching, I would coach. And that's probably been some of the hardest things that because not everybody is coachable.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the mindset to grow.
Yeah.
Not everybody is willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And now then I have some clients right now that they're on fire, they're excited, they're going out and killing it, right?
Yeah.
They're doing the things, and those are the ones I like to work with. And so I've had to kind of refine my avatar, as they say, right? Who's my ideal client?
Yeah.
And then when I'm working with them, making sure that we have clear boundaries and understand, okay, this is what I expect from you, and here's what I'm going to do for you.
Right.
Right. I mean, and it goes back to ministry, right? I mean, how many times in ministry have we had people that go, oh, I want more of Jesus and I want to be a better Christian, but then they run from any kind of accountability and they don't want to do the things.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's literally all I'm doing in my professional business life is all the things I did as a pastor.
Right.
It's just now I get paid a little differently,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
in 2021, I spent 6 months with a life coach doing Zoom. So at the time, I was doing some writing, and she was a life coach, but she was also a writing coach, except we never talked about writing. We'd never talked about writing. And I thought we were going to be talking about writing every week. I thought she was going to be helping me. And she told me from the beginning, we're not going to talk about any of your writing. And I'm like, that's why I wanted you to help me. But what she did was life-changing for me. And she did like what you were talking about. She made me think about what I was thinking about. I would have a situation, and we'd she had this process of how we'd go through it, and we would figure out the root of why. Mostly it was how I was responding to situations or reacting and why I was doing that. It was life changing for me. I mean, really. And I don't know if it was because of I was in the place I was in at that point. I had um I was telling somebody the other day, every form of freedom ministry that there is out there, I've probably been through it. I mean, like,
Right.
every one. They were talking about a new one at church, and I'm like, I'm sure it's wonderful, but I've been through 17 different things, and they're all
I'm so
wonderful.
with you. I'm
I
so
mean, they're
with
all
you on that one.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if it's because I did it at a point where I had grown so much already, and I don't know, it was life changing for me. And
Yeah.
even though we never talked about writing, and here's the thing, my confidence grew so much in 6 months meeting with her that when I finished, I didn't really want to write. I really wanted to do this. And
Yeah.
this was something I've always wanted to do, but I just never tried it. I bought a microphone on Amazon a few years, well, it was when we were living in that other house, and I never opened it. Like, I left it in the box. I didn't even open it. And so after I finished with her, I thought, well, maybe I'll just try. Like, I'll just kind of put some feelers out, and just see what people think. And so I tried it a little bit, and then anyway, I finally just bit the bullet, but I wouldn't have done it. I would not have even tried had I not been through that program. So I know life coaching is a big deal. It's a
Oh,
big
yeah.
deal. You don't have to have your life, in shambles to need, you probably need more than a life coach for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so helpful to
Yeah.
have somebody.
Well, I want to get spiritual for a little bit, because there's benefits in all of these disciplines, right?
Mhm.
Counselors, coaching, psychologists, psychiatrists,
Right.
right? And coming from the faith background that we come from, right? Charismatic, non-denominational, Holy Spirit, should have bought a Honda, like, right? It was one of those things where you reach a certain point as a pastor, right? In the beginning, Pastor Craig was my pastor and my
Right.
mentor, my spiritual
Right.
father. And we walked through this thing together, and he was helping me along the way. Well, when I went to a different church, that pastor was my boss.
Right.
Right. And so there were things where it's like I wanted to share, but then you knew it was going to kind of affect the way that he viewed you
Yeah.
and your performance and performance reviews and all of that kind of stuff. And then I went to a mega church, and the pastor started as my friend, but he was so far removed that I was someone in the pulpit, right? I would receive, but I never had any one-on-one with him.
Right.
And it's hard for you to get involved in a life group at that level, because when you show up to a life group, everybody expects you to have the answers because you're a pastor on staff.
Right.
Right. And so what happened was in probably 2010, it was probably 2010, maybe 2009. I was reading a book, and it was on youth ministry, something about, building a youth ministry or whatever. And chapter 8 was about an emotionally healthy youth pastor. And I started reading, and I started circling stuff. Like, I saw all these red flags that was me. And I looked at my wife and said, I think I might need a counselor. And she goes, duh, you're just now coming to that conclusion. Right. I mean, I tried fasting, I prayed, I'd done self-deliverance, all the things, but I was depressed. And so I went to this counselor, and that one session changed my life, revolutionized me, right? And so that changed my thing. I started getting on meds I was diagnosed as clinically depressed, got on some meds, right? Moved to the mega church, and, I'm just kind of going through things. And I ended up getting a mentor that was not church related. And a lot of it was via Zoom, that kind of stuff.
Right.
It was kind of group mentoring, through the Maxwell team. And that really challenged me, opened my eyes up to some things, especially when you're in these kind of settings that aren't faith-based, but have faith to them. They talk about things like universal laws and some things like that. And automatically the charismatic goes, oh, that's of the devil, right? I don't mess with the metaphysical stuff. But this mentor, he started speaking in a way coming from scripture
Mhm.
And it just like light bulbs started coming on. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's a biblical law that the universe obeys. And that's what he
Right.
said. And so that began to change my mindset about a lot of things and helping and beginning to understand, as I was learning about coaching and how everybody kind of has their own truth that they work from,
Yeah.
right? I mean, scripture is the ultimate absolute truth
Right.
for those of us in the Christian circles.
Right.
But for people who don't have a Christian background, they literally have their own truth
Yeah.
that probably doesn't line up with scripture, right? And so you have
Right.
to understand that they're on their own path with their own truth
Right.
and help them to understand that maybe their truth and their path isn't their best path,
Right.
right? Without being judgmental and all those things.
Yeah.
And so learning was so much, right? And so I ended up getting coaches. Right now I've got 2 coaches. Sorry, I think the light above me is getting a little crazy.
Oh,
But right now I have a nutrition coach that's helping me to get healthier,
awesome.
eating and lifestyle.
Yeah.
I've got a business mentor that I'm involved in his mastermind group.
Yeah.
I have a coach, a marketing coach that's helping
Yeah.
me with content creation
Yeah.
and, organic marketing through
Yeah.
social media channels.
Awesome.
And then I've got a spiritual mentor that I talk to about once a month or so.
That's great.
So, the more people that you get in your circle to help
Absolutely.
you, is key for your
Absolutely.
success.
Yeah.
So
I went to a conference a month ago or so, and it was called Behind Her Brand. And it was for women, Christian women in the marketplace. And
okay.
it was awesome. It was so good. I mean, I learned it was like a, fire hydrant. I learned so much
Yeah.
stuff. It took me a while to kind of process, but I made so many connections. And I'm starting this week a 4-week kind of intensive marketing thing over Zoom with a lady that she actually sponsored me to go to the conference. And so
Nice.
it's kind of exactly what you're talking about, helping with social media and,
Yeah.
helping to grow. Anyway, so I agree. I'm thankful for the women that I have around me that I can
Yeah.
learn from and really help with. So if somebody wants to sign up with Ken Noble as their life coach or they're in a mastermind group, how do they find you?
So I'm pretty easy to find on all major forms of social media at the Ken Noble,
Okay.
TheKenNoble.
Mhm.
I just kind of was able to get so that on Facebook, that'll direct you to my business page
Okay.
on Facebook, my Instagram.
Okay.
I've got 2 Instagrams. I got a personal and then that one,
Right.
which I'm not on my personal one that much anymore. Twitter, you can find me on Twitter there. You can find me on LinkedIn that way.
Okay.
Gosh, I don't know what else there is, but you can find me on Facebook. Just look for
Okay.
Ken Noble.
Okay.
And so for my mastermind, I mean, I can send you a link that you can put in the
Send me, yeah, because I'm
page
going to
notes.
put all your information on the.
Can I tell you about my mastermind?
You can tell me about it. I don't think you have.
No. Okay. So I'm just really excited about it because
Yeah.
I mean, you know what a mastermind is, right? We've kind of talked
Sort
about.
of. Yes. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're
what you
kind
told
of
me.
like
Yeah.
kind of like a small group, a Bible
Yeah.
study, right? So a lot of times masterminds, one, I've done free masterminds on particular books and I've had some
Right.
success, but I have about a 20% retention rate that people will go all the way through.
Right.
So free ones just aren't really, I mean, there's success in them, but not the ROI,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm spending all my time.
Right.
So the ones that stick all the way through get some benefit. So there's masterminds out there for hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars a month. Like Tony Robbins has like a $75,000 a year mastermind that he doesn't even show up at. He has somebody else facilitating the mastermind.
Oh.
So anyways, so yeah, that's kind of what, so for me, I was like, you know what? I have so many friends that need a mastermind
Right.
that I don't want to charge them this kind of stuff. There's so many people that I know. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating a group mastermind for
Mhm.
$37 a month.
That's awesome.
And so the first Tuesday or second Tuesday of every month, I'm going to drop a Facebook Live in the private group just for paid members only.
Yeah.
The second Tuesday of the month at 2:30 Central, I'm going to do a Zoom call where everybody gets in the Zoom room and we're gonna talk about the topic just a little bit, ask for people's input about the topic, and then I'm going to ask them, so tell us, what are you celebrating?
Right.
what is your struggle or your obstacle right now? And then how
Yeah.
can we in this room serve that?
That's
And then
great.
people can just share and help one another. And
Yeah.
ideally the community inside the Facebook group helps one another out, holding each other
Yes.
accountable, cheering one another on.
Yeah.
And then the first non-holiday Monday of the month, I'm going to have a Zoom open office hours. So I'll be working and
Yeah.
people can jump on Zoom and ask me whatever they want.
That is
So,
great.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, an
great.
hour of my time is $500.
Absolutely.
So to
That's
get
great.
all of that content for $37
Yes.
a month, it's just my way to add value and help as many people as I can.
Right.
But they've got a little skin in the game too. Everybody, for the most part, can afford $37 a month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very successful.
So yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty
Yeah.
jazzed and pumped about it. There's
When
so
does it
many
start?
benefits. So I was targeting June 1st, but I'm already picking up a lot of momentum. I've already got about
Okay.
5 people that are interested. If I
Great.
reach 10 people that are interested,
Yeah.
I'll launch it in May and start a month early. I don't have a problem
Sure.
with that.
Sure. That's great.
So
I'm excited for you.
yeah, very cool.
So before we go, I have to I have to tell the story. And I want to know if you remember. So we have lots of memories with you and your family. I mean, lots of memories.
Mhm.
Every time I hear the little drummer boy, all I think of is Logan sitting on the stage, crisscross, playing the drums in the Christmas program.
Yeah.
But do you know the story that I think of when I think of you most?
Oh, I'm scared.
You don't, do you remember? It makes me laugh every time I think about it. Do you remember whenever I called you because I had pulled in my driveway and I knocked the luggage carrier off my, do you remember that?
Oh, vaguely, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Every time I think of you, that's what I think of. Kylie was in the back seat and we lived on the corner. So I would kind of zip around that corner and just zip right into my driveway. And I forgot that we had the luggage carrier on top of the Durango because we were going on vacation. And I flew under the carport and it flew off the back of and I was so scared to tell Aaron. I called Ken to come over and help me fix it before he got home.
That's right. That's right. That's so
And-
funny.
yes.
I thought you were going to tell the story about the first time that the 4 of us went to dinner together.
I don't remember that.
It was Abuelo's. It was our first time to really spend any quality time with you and Aaron.
I do not
Right.
remember that.
And I mean, I'm a relatively new Christian, I've got all of these don'ts in my mind. And you guys ordered alcoholic drinks at
We,
Abuelo's.
we got margaritas.
Maybe, I don't even remember. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Like, seriously, that's what I
That
thought you were
is
going
funny.
to, because I just was like, oh my gosh. I thought you were going to call
I
me
do
out on
not
that one.
remember that. That's
Because,
hilarious though.
I mean, I came to faith in a very legalistic way, right?
Right,
Everything was black
right.
and white. If you remember early on, I was very prophetic in this is right, this is wrong.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
going to hell if you do the things, right? And I just, yeah, man.
That's so funny. Aaron is
we've
going to
spent-
crack up when he
We've
hears
spent
that.
so many hours together over the years.
Oh, yeah.
I miss you
Oh,
guys.
yeah. I
tremendously.
know. We miss y'all too. Well, thanks for
Very cool.
talking to me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited about your mastermind and we'll talk again. I'll let you know when we're headed that way. And
Okay. Yeah,
uh,
sounds good.
have
all
a
right.
great afternoon.
You too. Have a great weekend. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.